Welcome back, everyone, to the next shift. This is Jorge Luis Ortiz Garcia, formerly known. I wanted to welcome everyone back. I know you haven't heard from us in a long time, so I'm glad that we are doing this again. I'm going to start with my normal disclaimer, as Sergio is signaling me to say it. This podcast does not reflect the opinions of anybody other than myself. So Far West, Wingstop, and any of our vendors or investors. This is the reflection of my thoughts, my ideas. So just wanted to put that out there.
Welcome back, George. Are you excited to be back?
I am excited. It took a while.
We have not recorded an episode in about 2 months. So let's rewind on what has happened in the past couple months. Were you surprised with how well the podcast was received?
I have no idea how many people have actually listened to. Do we?
Just the commentary that you heard. I think you heard a lot of feedback personally. What was that like?
I mean, outside of like my sister and my brother and distant cousin. I'm just kidding. There was family obviously great, and some of the team members in the field also felt like there was some good information. So I think they're being nice to me more than anything else, but I'll take it. I think you've gotten like amazing feedback too, right?
Yeah, it's been really nice to hear from the field. I think that it's not that I was surprised, but it was really nice to see that people were actually listening and tuning in. I think it's always scary when you launch a project because you don't know if it's going to stick to the wall or if it's just going to fall flat. Especially with podcasts. I don't know if people listen to podcasts very frequently, but I've been talking to especially a lot of the trainers, and I was talking to Yvonne actually a couple of days ago, and she's been driving a lot long distance when she was in Washington. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and I'm running out. So I told her to listen.
But she hasn't listened to ours.
She has listened to ours.
Yeah. Who told me that they had to listen to it?
Are we going to put her on blast?
And this person has like a huge commute. She's like, I don't have time to listen to it. I'm like, your commute is like over an hour. What are you talking about?
No, you know who you are. You know who you are. I hope that us putting you in episode 3 really inspires you to listen to the podcast.
Well, she didn't listen to 1 or 2, so she's probably not going to listen to this one.
You know what? She listened to 1 because she told me it was good, and she shared it with her family. Her family also works in restaurants as well.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So she said that there was good feedback from her family as well. So she listened to 1, but not 2. But in her defense, this is only episode 3.
Okay, so I just thought of the feedback that I got from someone. This person actually wants to recruit you to go work for her or him, just based on the podcast. So for all of you guys out there, Sergio's not for hire. He is here to stay. Okay, I said it.
I remember that you told me that.
Oh, I did tell you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yes, don't hire me, at least for now. Anyway.
Not yet.
This is a very special episode because I think that we all know the current state of the restaurant industry. I think that there's been a lot of movement in terms of what restaurants are doing and what the current climate of the industry is. So, George, we really wanted to take this episode to discuss that on what does that entail for you? How does that make you feel? How does that make you react? What does that do to your thought process in terms of what's going on in the restaurant industry? And what do you think drove the restaurant industry to get to this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough out there, especially for our Hispanic community. I mean, for everyone, right? Tariffs are just driving a lot of uncertainty, whether you're on the retail side or the restaurants or you're just a consumer. It's hard not to see prices continue to go up and people's wallets continue to get a little bit thinner there. But I think predominantly for us, it was important for me and for us to talk about what we see happening out there because you can't ignore it. And I think the team has felt it. And I think we've had to make some very, very tough decisions. And the team has been incredibly supportive of these decisions that we made and these saving new processes that we've done. And I mean, I hate to call them cuts, but that's what they are. And so it's been great to see the team embrace it. But yeah, no, it's tough out there. It's I think Chipotle had some numbers out, and I think that it's affecting almost every single restaurant brand out there. And I think people are spooked. People are scared, and there's a lot of uncertainty. within our Latino community, it's incredibly tough to feel like you are going to be safe in this country. So I get it, I understand it, and I think our job is to find ways to make people feel okay and give them some stability within the support that we can give, and we take that seriously. I mean, I'm trying to protect as many jobs as we possibly can, given the circumstances of what has happened over the last almost year by now.
Now, I want to see if you can remember this far back. Probably I want to say 8 months ago, maybe you remember, Chris, but you sent a poll, and it was actually an open-ended question on the office chat, and you said, how many of you guys are still eating out often? And this was a couple months back. And then I think everyone's response was like, oh, like we're still eating out every weekend and all of that.
Yep.
And then you did something very interesting. Probably like 2 or 3 months ago, you asked the exact same question, and everybody's responses shifted. What were you trying to gauge with that specific question, or was that just more for you to see what the world was outside of us?
Given the size of our business, I have a really good read on when things shift, and I think restaurant owners are able to see the economy and how it's shifting before any other industry, because that's, I think, a lot of times where people start making changes on whether they trade up or they trade down within the restaurants, or they stop going to restaurants. So that's why I always love to ask people, because I started seeing these trends early, I would say late last year. So I think I had a pretty good idea on why what's happening. So it's always nice to ask the questions. I mean, here in our office, we're pretty well represented. We're a pretty diverse group, young, old, and multicultural. So it's always nice to hear it. And by the way, these are the same questions I ask my family too. So I'm sure a lot of them are laughing right now. It's like, oh, here goes my uncle asking these stupid questions about trying to do socioeconomic studies with our family chat group. So I want to verify that what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing makes sense to the team. And I mean, here in the office, we're 30 plus people, and in my family group chat, there's like 17. So it's a good measure.
It's a good measure. Oh, that's very interesting. I every time you ask a question, I always wonder what your intent of that question is, because it's always very interesting to kind of try to dissect and see what the the motif of the question was. So I thought it was a nice motif.
He said motif.
Yes,
that's fancy.
So I was trying to see if you remember that far back. Now, I think when restaurant sales start to get softer, things start to go through the restaurants, through the team members.
Yep.
How do you combat that? What is your strategy for making sure that everybody stays calm, cool, and collected, especially in such a large restaurant group where we're now over 170 stores? What do you do to keep everybody calm, especially when you start to see a decline in sales?
Well, number one is, how do we protect jobs, right? I think that's my number one, always my number one concern, whether I'm here in the office or I'm at home having a cocktail. I'm always thinking about how can we make changes that saves money but also saves jobs. And we want to make the right smart changes. We want to understand that our team lives off of their job, and we have the responsibility to make sure that we provide that stability for them. So I think the initiatives that we put forward, it's exactly for that. The cuts that we did on labor were very surgical and very strategic, so that someone may have lost a few hours a week, but they still had 4 or 5 shifts that were stable. And I think you and the team did an amazing job putting that together. And I think that's always it. I mean, it's and also exploring the things that, can we go back to contractors and ask them for discounts? Can we go back to some of our vendors and say, hey, can we do a revision on this contract? Or just the things that we cleaned up, right? Like how many towels a store gets, or do we need the hood cleaning 5-6 times a year when we did it 4 and our volumes has got down, and we were making the adjustments in the shift back to being a little bit slower, and what services do we still need that frequently? So anything we can explore, anything that we can do to save jobs and save hours, I think we owe it to our team to make sure that we always look there first, and not just look hard and explore everything and ask for everything. And I think we've gotten to a few of our landlords and asked, hey, is there anything you guys can do for us? And some have been phenomenal partners and have identified that, that the industry is really tough right now. And they know that we're good tenants. And, so again, my job is to ask, is go look anywhere we possibly can to save as many jobs as we possibly can. And the team has been amazing on the things that we've asked them to do, and even in the field. I'm so proud of the team and how well they've taken it. And I know they're sacrificing, because even if they get less 3 hours a week, I know that actually does affect them and their wallets and how they spend, and how they see their financial stability. So I am incredibly humble and just very proud of how the team has taken it. And I'm still working to make sure we keep saving as many jobs as possible.
In terms of the communication for that message, I know that when you work in a restaurant, things get around very easily. So, people start seeing labor modifications, people start seeing things get cut. What do you do as a leader to make sure that the narrative doesn't get spun out of control?
Well, you gotta go talk, and you gotta be the one announcing these cuts. And we jumped on a town hall call, and we in front of everyone and said, hey guys, these changes are coming from me. These are the things that we're doing in order to protect Far West and who we are. And you go and talk. That's la cara, right? I mean, you're there, and you're the one giving the message, and you don't delegate that. As a leader, you need to be the one that carry the bad news. When it's good news, you can delegate that. You can have other people give the good news. But when it's bad news, and you need to be the one that is the face and the voice of hey guys, we need your support right now.
Why do you think, especially young leaders, do that switched around? So they are there to deliver the great news when everything's great, but anytime anything goes wrong, they delegate that. Why do you think people do that?
It's conflict. I mean, we talked about it. I think it was the first podcast. I think a lot of our young leaders try to avoid conflict and tough conversations. It's normal. They're uncomfortable. But, man, you get so much out of it. And I think the team is also a lot more receptive because it's coming from you. So people want leaders that are going to be there in the tough times. That's what I'm finding out. Like, I think I've been in Far West for 20 years, and I don't remember times this tough. I actually thank Far West for actually providing me this experience, even though it's been one of the toughest times in my life just to navigate through this. It's an opportunity that I'm glad I'm getting, because I'm excited to be able to get us all through this, and obviously with everybody's support and help and buy-in. But one thing that I said the other day is, we're not going to let these times define us. We're going to get through them. And it's not, and it's how we get through them. That's the important thing, right? Because I think for a lot of leaders is making the big cuts that are going to make the most splash, but unfortunately, those are normally the ones that affect the team the most. So again, we need to be super strategic on making some of these adjustments without affecting our team as much, understanding that they're the ones that are carrying the culture. And the more important thing, guys, is the field is the only tool that you have to be able to get back on your feet. Like, revenue goes through the restaurants. And so keeping a strong team is important to make sure you can able to absorb those sales when they come back. So you can't take all those hours away. You just can't. You need to make sure you have clean restaurants, good service, the team has good morale, because that is where you are going to be able to take advantage of the bounce back. So we're not going to let these times define us, but how we get through them will define us. So that's the most important thing.
I love that. You actually answered my following question without me asking it. You talked a little bit about making cuts, and why do you think companies or leaders are often culprits of cutting labor as a first thing that they do whenever things start to go wrong?
I don't know. I think I was having a conversation with someone the other day, very, very good friend of mine, and I said the same thing. I'm like, maybe I'm ignorant, and I don't do it because I'm ignorant. I wasn't educated. I don't have an MBA. But this person reminded me that it's not ignorance. It's the ability to see things with a very complete different lens. I think that's what affects me sometimes. As I started in the restaurant industry in a restaurant and saw what operators did, and it gives me this ability to understand that you can't harm that one thing that's going to keep you actually alive, right? It's almost like in your body, if you're having some issues and You can't cut off your heart. You can't cut off your brain. You need to make sure that those two are functioning. You can live without an arm. Sorry for the grotesque example, but the heart of our business is our stores and our team. I mean, that's the bottom line. They're the ones that drive the culture, drive the transactions. They're the ones bringing up the sales and cooking the food. I mean, you cannot affect them to a point where they're almost in life support. You can't do that.
This is so interesting that you bring this up because we were talking about this a couple of weeks back, and you mentioned how labor is always the last thing for you to adjust because you need to make sure that you're ready to bounce back. But I think that a lot of the times, especially the younger leaders, are going for the flashiest thing to cut that's going to give them the quick result. And I think that there's more to learn from, making those adjustments until you really have to pull that lever than just going straight to that lever when you probably could have saved the business by just adjusting other things outside of that.
Yeah. Well, it's also for restaurants, labor is your most expensive part of the business, right? I mean, that is the number that your highest cost is labor, not rent, not food cost, not repairs and maintenance or utilities. Your highest cost is labor. So I think that's why it's also incredibly easy to focus on that number. And it's also very impactful. When you cut labor, you can make a huge dent on savings, right? You can, if you need to save a couple million, you can go get them all in labor. It's quick and easy. That's why I think most people just do that. But the great brands don't. I mean, you talk about what Chipotle has done when they did that turnaround. One of their biggest, most proud things is like we added more labor to the restaurants. When you talk about the great brands like Chick-fil-A, I mean, they literally have people standing outside of a drive-thru just to hand you a bag that you can reach a bag from the window of the drive-thru. It's like, who does that, right? And so that's why these restaurants are doing the volume that they do, in and out, right? I mean, they're staffed, they have people, and that's what I want to emulate. And obviously, a lot of people say, well, they have the AUVs, the volume, to be able to staff that way. And I would argue, well, they have the volume because they put the labor in. And I think the volume comes after labor, and you first have to put in the labor in order for the sales to follow.
I love that a lot. I think of when I go to a restaurant and there's two people working and it takes forever to get my food. And then, you go to a restaurant that's perfectly staffed and you're in and out the door. And to me, that gives me time back to go and move on to the next thing that I need to do.
Yeah.
You were talking about an MBA and you not having an MBA. I shared with you, I recently went back to school and we were
Sorry,
talking.
I didn't want to hate on you.
I knew you were going to hate on me, but I'm going to hate on myself before you hate on me. No, I recently went back to school for business, and it's almost like undoing everything that I've learned and building it. But something that you mentioned is we had a lesson on P&Ls, I think a couple of weeks back, and we're learning how to read the lines and what the lines mean, percentages and all of that. But we got to a point where it was an open-ended discussion where we're like, if you have to adjust X category or if you have to adjust something, what's the strategy to adjust? Why would you adjust and all of that? And I was very surprised with all of my classmates' answers because they all went for, you want to guess what they went for?
Labor?
They went for labor. They went for the manpower to manufacture and all that. So in my head, I thought to myself, well, if you're cutting that, then once, everything's back, you won't be able to produce stuff as quick as possible because you don't have the hands to produce it. So I participated in the discussion, and that was my feedback or my addition to the discussion. And, it clicked for everyone. And I realized that a lot of the stuff that sometimes we see in today's business models are not things that they are deciding on their own, as things that they just picked up from a textbook. But I think that my learning experience is so much more different than what it would have been had I gone straight into school before going into the workforce. Because now I'm seeing, I saw the entire thing play out. So now when I try to marry it to a book, I know what the book says that doesn't align with a real life scenario, which is, I think that's where you have the upper hand because, I love to watch the way you think about things. I love to watch the way you strategize because you think in real life terms. I don't even know if that makes sense. I don't even if that's a word, but
well, because I'm not thinking of theory. I'm thinking of what I see in front of me or what I've seen in the past. Right? Like I'm not trying to remember something that I read in a book and how does that apply to this event? I'm like, I've seen this event happen before and I know how it works. So that's maybe my advantage is, and having that operator eye. I was in a restaurant the other day and I saw the manager walk out and not at one of our restaurants. This is like a fancy restaurant that I went to. And so I see this guy with a suit and a tie. He's the manager of this place. And he climbs on a wall, like I don't know, 5-foot wall, 4-foot wall, to change like a light bulb or something.
Inside of the restaurant or outside?
Outside in the patio. I was sitting in the patio. And so I'm like, that is an example of an operator. Like, you will do whatever it takes, right? To just okay, that light's out. Let me just change it. And this guy's on suit, wearing like these fancy shoes,
Red bottoms.
and I see him climbing on the wall, and like with like absolutely no safety net or safety guards or any regard for safety. And he's just like climbing, and he changed it. He climbed back down. I'm like, I remember doing shit like that. Like that's just stuff that you did. And so I think that's kind of who I am. It's like it's if I have to jump in and I just need to get it done, and I need to make sure that I don't have the theory to back up some of the things that I'm doing. It's just I've been seeing this for a long time, and anyway.
I think theory is a blessing and a curse, because the first time I went and got a college degree, it was theory based. So I hadn't really worked the career, so I was just going off of what I was reading in a book and stuff. And now that I'm doing it the other way around, I see why people that come from just theory based are much slower in reacting to things or pivoting when things happen, because they're trying to figure out where in the book they read that and how that overcame, as opposed to just not worrying about what the book said and reacting in the moment.
Yeah. Well, I think we all want leaders that don't freeze, and we don't want leaders that are always right. We don't want leaders that are perfect in their approach, but we do want a leader that when you go to them, they're going to have an answer for you, or at least challenge your decision and give you a different outlook on things. I think we all want that from leadership. So, yeah.
I know we're gonna get personal. I'm gonna ask you a personal question. With everything that's been going on, how has that affected you personally? Whether you want to share emotionally, or whether that has affected you in a different way where you've been thinking differently. Can you walk us through a little bit of that?
Yeah, I'm a little bit in my head, because I think this is a big job, right? This is a big company. There's 3,600 team members here, and they're all hanging from my decisions, right? All of them will be affected in one way or another for something that I or we decide. And it's a huge responsibility. And when things are going great, you don't think about it at that magnitude of how many people you're affecting. I mean, our investors, not to mention our investors, right? Like, they trust me that I'm going to move this business forward in the right direction, and that we're going to get out of the slump. But it's tough. It's tough. And I think it does affect me a little bit. But again, just getting the energy from the team and that call where we announced some of these changes, and people being so supportive, getting emails and text messages from the team in the field, some of which have been very affected by some of the things we've done. And they're like, we got your back. We're going to get through this. I mean, there's no words. I think that continues to keep me to move forward. But it's I've never been in this situation before in 20 years here in the company. So it's definitely taught me a lot of lessons, but it reminds me why I do this. It's also re-energized me to prove everyone that we can get through it.
How do you keep your mind completely clear to make those decisions that you're talking
My
about?
mind is never clear, Sergio. My mind is always busy with shit. Like, I'm at home and I pull out the calculator, and my wife's like, why are you, it's like Saturday at 7 p.m. and you're watching a soccer game. Why is your calculator out? Like, it's 0-0. The match, no one scored a goal. Why is your calculator out right now? And I'm doing math on, hey, if we do this adjustment as a company, right, what does that mean for our EBITDA, and what does that mean to the team, and cuts that we don't have to make? And like, I'm doing math all the time on things like that. So my mind is never clear.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. How do you keep it not as busy to where you still have a clear sight of everything that's going on, and your mind doesn't get really foggy to where you can't make decisions?
I keep it busy with stuff that's important, especially in the business, right? I go to the restaurants and I'm on the openings. I know the team hates it when I'm in the field because I'm just sending you guys pictures of shit. You guys hate it.
Can I tell you something?
Of course.
I'm gonna interrupt you because I'm gonna come clean on this podcast. I hate when you just text me a picture with no context. And I'm telling you on the podcast, so it's on the record.
You need to read my mind, Sergio. By now, you should be able to read my mind.
And you know what? I can tell you that I can read your mind 95% of the time. But sometimes Chris or Nikki have been in my office when I get a picture, and I'll stare at my phone for like a solid, a solid couple.
Because to me, you know how my brain works? To me,
I
it's
know
like,
how it works.
should be obvious to everyone. Why hasn't anybody caught this? Why am I the one? Why is the CEO of the company walk into a restaurant and no one else has noticed this issue? And so I forward people pictures. It was like, do you know what I'm watching? And then a lot. You'll be surprised though the amount of times where people are like, oh, is this what's wrong? I'm like, yep, that's exactly right.
I've never told you this, but I wanted to tell you because it's so funny. In the beginning, it used to drive me nuts. But in the beginning, I didn't know how you operated. So I'm sitting there with a magnifying glass trying to figure out what you're trying to tell me without asking you.
People have gotten really good at it. People that reported me have gotten really good at it. But that's how I keep my mind not clear, but busy with the things that matter. Right? I'm in the restaurants. I'm spending time with the team. I came back with I sent you and Ramiro an email after the opening on Yelm, and I said, guys, why are we doing this? And why are we doing that? Like that busyness of the right things gives me clarity to focus on the things that are going to make an impact.
I love that. You mentioned Yelm, and Ramir and I had a long conversation multiple times about that because obviously we got your long emails, but we also wanted to dissect kind of what we could have done better. And I think that when things like that happen, it energizes me because it gives me almost like a whole new experience. So I can add it to the list of things to pull from there.
Yeah, but I don't think you guys did anything wrong with there. I think some of it is, when you have like this busy opening like Guillaume was, and some of the things that we haven't done or we've done wrong compound because it's busier. If that would have been a normal opening, I wouldn't have said probably anything. I would have said, oh, great opening, guys, good job. But when things are busy, I think that's when I love to be able to see how some of these bad decisions or bad approaches or bad procedures actually compound and they're more noticeable.
I think, and Ramir and I talked about this, I think we did a lot of okay decisions that eventually added up to making one bad one. And I think that
I can see that
the decisions we made were good had it not been as busy of an opening.
Of course.
But just the volume just spiraled everything. And I think that's where everything kind of snowballed. And I was like, oh, damn, now we're here.
Yeah. But I mean, the day before I was in Marysville was obviously also a very busy opening and the trainers do such a great job. But being in the field, being in the trenches, for a lot of leaders, they think that kind of clouds their judgment. But for me, it actually opens up my mind on things and how we can solve things, even at a corporate level. Just seeing cooks how they're saucing and seeing opportunities as the trainers, and all of that gives me an edge and an advantage on running this company.
As we continue navigating these difficult times, what is something that you've learned already from just all the decisions that you've made and just everything that has been going on in the past couple months?
That we have an amazing team.
We have an amazing team?
It's just, man, I mean, I'm so humbled by the people that believe in us, that believe in this culture, that believe in Far West. I mean, this is such a special place. And it hurts me sometimes. Like, we lost a DM in Colorado. Yesterday was her last day. And it breaks me to see the reasons why she left, because I think that she left knowing that this was a special place, but because she'd been here for so long, sometimes things just get blurry. And that hurts me, but it's interesting because I was texting with another DM that left a few years ago, and I guess I can say her name. I don't think she's going to listen to this podcast. But anyway, she was texting me. She's with another company right now. I won't say the name, but she's like, "No, Far West is amazing. The way you guys do things."
I know who it is. I guessed.
Who is it?
Can I say it?
Sure.
Is it Vanessa?
No, not Vanessa.
Okay.
Vanessa has said that, but it's not.
Oh wait,
her.
she was in a DM. Never mind.
Yeah. She was a DM too. Maybe I should say her name or not, but let me think about it and see if I want to say her name.
You're like looking for the name because you don't remember the name.
No, it was Melina.
Melina, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so, I do remember her.
Yeah, so she was like, the way you guys do things, and she told me, she's like, I see things so much differently now that I'm not there. And that's what breaks my heart, is that sometimes a lot of people don't realize that what we've built has been incredibly special.
I think especially when you see just the peak of a business, you become I don't want to say ungrateful, but I think that's the best way to describe it. You become ungrateful of all the things that it has. And then you see a shinier thing across the street and that draws you to that. But Looks can be deceiving, and I think that that's something that a lot of people can share. Where
Yeah.
you know,
But you know what it is, Sergio? I think that we do such a good job sometimes saying how special this place is. And for some people, sometimes that's not the reality of it, right? Like if I go to some of our stores that are newer to Far West, like Seattle, Colorado, some of those folks, some of those DMs or GMs, maybe they're not living this great culture that we have here yet because we're still building the teams. There's still a lot of new people. There's still systems that they haven't been embraced, and it's hard for them to do their job, harder than maybe a DM that's local. And so I think that's why sometimes too they get frustrated because they're like, well, you guys talk all this big game, but that experience of Far West I still haven't fully seen in my life. So that's where I go and I say, well, a lot of times it's not embracing it. A lot of times is fighting the change or fighting the systems. And I think that a lot of times that's what prevent us from having a bigger impact and becoming Far West quicker. Some of these are just self-inflicting wounds. And especially at a DM level, the DMs have a lot more power in our culture and what Far West is than me because they're touching and visiting team members on a daily basis. And they're the leaders for that team, right? The culture that they portray in their store visits is ultimately the culture that the team thinks Far West has.
why do you think some DMs can't bridge that? What do you think stops them from being able to make that connection and realizing that they have the most influence out of everyone on the leadership team?
I think most of it is fear. I think they don't want to fail. They don't want to make mistakes. It's fear. It's the fear of making a mistake, is the fear of failing, and it that freezes you. And also, by the way, that also when you're fear or when you're in a tough place or you're struggling, you automatically shift to the last time you had some success. And for a lot of these new DMs, it was with another company with a different culture. So if somebody's struggling with food costs, they're gonna, maybe not embrace the Far West way because it's a longer route, but they're gonna go and make some of the things they used to do in other companies. Whether it's, oh, I'm gonna check everyone one of my GM's order, I'm gonna check it, or I'm gonna do inventory for this GM because they don't know how to do it, and they start micromanaging or they start doing things. So that normally I would say it's fear.
Fear. And what do you think, or what advice would you give to those DMs that are struggling to make that connection?
Guys, you got to believe in trust. If you embrace Far West and you fall, we're gonna be right there with you. I mean, it's always been that way. It will always be that way. Let us in with your struggle. Let us in with what you're struggling with. Tell us where the mistakes are. Let us help you with all that. Don't be afraid. No one's ever gotten fired from Far West for making mistakes. Normally, people get fired because they try to cover up the mistake. That's the problem. But I would say let your RO help you. Call me if there's issues. Like, this is also the thing that breaks my heart with this DM that left is I got an email from her last night. I wish I would have gotten a phone call a year ago that she was struggling and having some issues. And so I'm here for you guys. You are the strength of this company. You are the reason we're here. And I want to make sure that I'm available to you. So if the system that Far West and I have put in place for you is not working, I owe it to every single one of you to figure it out and try to support you.
Now, if you could give advice to someone that's just starting the journey of softer sales, now that you've gone through it for a couple months, what would you tell them?
Make sure that you make the adjustments that are necessary for your business to survive, always taking care of your team first. Like, how do you insulate your team? Because they're the ones that are going to greet the guests. They're the ones that are going to serve the food. They're the ones that are going to be able or not to continue to move this business forward. And we have to make sacrifices. I get that. We need to make tough choices. And Far West has done that too. And again, I am so grateful with all of you guys that have embraced these changes. Like, we can't be here without you. But I think that's what I always will say. And for those that have slower sales, like, think about this: if you lose 1% on labor because you didn't cut it, 1% of labor doesn't mean your restaurant's gonna go broke. But if you cut 3% of labor and you can't take care of the guests that come in, the guests not coming in will break your restaurant.
Now, when we look 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, what does that look like for you in terms of your strategy, your ideas? What are you going to double down on? What does that look like for you?
I think we've done enough changes today to be able to ride through next year. We've been pretty strategic on understanding what the challenges are ahead of us and being proactive on making those changes now. So I think we're pretty well insulated to not have to do any major cuts or additional changes for next year. Don't hold me to that, but that's the current strategy. But the more important thing is stay active and make sure that we're proactive on the things that are coming, and yeah, I'm hoping that things stabilize a little bit.
Awesome. I think that we're in a good spot, and I think that the team is fully invested in what we're doing. It was really nice to see the response after the town hall. Through everything that they're doing, I think the field is so special because they're really there to kind of ride this with us. So that makes me very excited for the future. I think that this is always an exciting journey because it's uncharted territory. So it gives you the opportunity to add a whole new experience to your belt. I have questions from the field that they wanted to ask. They wanted to. This is questions to you directly. They said I should ask you this on the podcast.
From the field.
I
don't know if this was happening because I have the email address to the podcast and I didn't get any questions.
No. This was personal. They were like, can you ask him this?
Whatever. I'm going to have to verify if these are real people.
Should I tell you who asked them or no?
No.
Okay, I won't tell you who asked them. There's only 2 questions. The first question is, what does your morning look like?
What is my
before
what?
you even come to the office? What
My
is your
morning?
Yeah. Like, because you're sending emails early, so like, what does your morning look like?
I have 2 dogs that require walking for at least 45 minutes before the day even starts. So I get up at 5:30 in the morning and go walk these animals because if not, they will tear my house apart. One of them already tore a couple of leather sofas, and he went at my favorite leather chair just 2 days ago, which, yeah. So 5:30 in the morning, I'm up, I'm walking the dogs, and then I have a routine of either go run for 3 miles, 4 miles, depending on the day, and then the days I don't run, I'll do a small workout with a little bit of weights, nothing crazy, but I don't look like an athlete, but I am one. But that's how my morning starts, and then I'll be in the office by 8:30, 9 a.m. and get a couple of coffees in me, and that's how my day starts.
Awesome. And then the next question is actually one that I would like to know myself. How are you always so connected to the business? Because you seem to know everything like to the millisecond. Like people wonder, and this came from a DM, I'm not going to say who. They want to know how you know when stuff is
Roberto.
offline.
Roberto asked that question.
No, the first question was him.
Oh, Roberto was the first question? Okay.
How do you know exactly what goes offline, literally the second it goes offline, even through the weekend? Do you have a work-life balance? Like...
Okay, this is a really long answer. How much time do we have, Chris? We got time. Great. So I do have a very good work-life balance. And work-life balance to me is doing the things that I love. Far West, I love. And so when people ask me about work-life balance, I don't have an issue with it because I am okay with working extra days and working when I'm at home because I really, really love this place and everyone in it. So it's really easy for me to spend a ton of time thinking about work and my social media, which is, people that know me understand I don't have Instagram, I don't have Facebook, I don't have TikTok, I don't have MySpace. MySpace is not around anymore.
It actually they bought it. It's not as popular. It still lives.
Is there a comeback coming with MySpace?
I think. Do you know Vine?
No idea what Vine is.
Okay, so it's this app that was really popular in probably like 2009, I think, Chris? Earlier, right? 2013, something like that. I don't know. But it was really popular, but it was before TikTok. It was this app where you posted 6-second videos.
Oh, gosh.
And it was almost like TikTok, but it was Vine, and that's where a lot of the really popular people on TikTok came from. But it's coming back. It's now called Divine. The CEO of Twitter or something like that is supporting the project, so it's gonna roll out. I'm really excited. I used to love Vine. I had Vine on my BlackBerry, and I was scrolling on there, and it was so fun. But
we'll discuss why you had a BlackBerry later, but that's a conversation for another day.
I had a BlackBerry in 7th grade, but yeah, you're right. That is a conversation for another day. But back to your social media.
Yeah, no social media.
Why do you avoid social media?
Well, I do have social media. It's just not the normal social media. My social media is oops, I said the name. And DoorDash and Uber Eats. Because I go in there and I say, what store's offline? I go in there and I see, what store's not receiving DoorDash orders, and I activate, and that's all I do. Here's the thing, Sergio. When people talk to me about quality of life, I know for a fact because I'm in restaurants and I'm out in social gatherings and I'm out in social events, sporting events and all. I'm out. I'm out and about and I see people. People watching is one of my favorite things to do, by the way. We'll unpack that another day. But so I see everyone's on their freaking phone all the time. So the difference for me is instead of me being on Instagram, I go and I check DoorDash and Uber Eats to make sure that all the stores are open and online. That is honestly, the dopamine thing that we all get when we pick up our phone, because that's a real thing. I get it from DoorDash, Uber Eats, and my. So
from all the stores being online, though, right?
No, I mean it's a dopamine of just picking up the phone and doing something with it, because we all do that, guys. Like our phone is never more than an arm's reach away from us at all time.
I wish I could throw my phone away.
Right, but you don't. I mean, wishing and doing is completely different things. So for me, the work-life balance thing is, and I tell this to people and I give this people advice, if you want work-life balance, find a job you love. And I've always said this too, you're not going to love it in the beginning. You need to first get good at it. In order for you to get good at it, you need to spend time in it. Once there's confidence and you're good at it, people will pay you more money to do it. Once you make the money and you know how to do it, that's when passion comes. When you mix the money and the talent piece, then that's where like, okay, I have a passion for this job.
Yeah, I can agree to that. I think I've lived through that and I'm currently living through that. I always hang out with my friends and I do the same thing. I'm always, checking my email, checking to make sure that everything's good with people. But they're like, oh, like, why are you up so early in the morning sending emails at 5 a.m.? Why are you doing this? Why are you sending emails at 9? I'm like, it never feels like it because I'll be in line at the movies and we'll be talking and I'll be talking to my friends. I'm like,
don't do that. You're not talking to your friends.
I am. Okay. I can multitask.
There's no such a thing. But people are annoyed by that. So I'm trying really hard to put my phone face down and really give people the attention.
Do you have an Apple Watch?
But you know what? I don't wear it for the same reason. I only use it to work out. But when I see people, this is what I do. When I'm interacting with someone and they picked up their phone, that's the key for me to pick up mine. But I'm always waiting for them to do it first. Once they do it, I'm like, okay, it's fair now, fucker. I'm going to pick up my phone. I'm going to read my shit.
Are you ready? You're gaslighting yourself into thinking that it's okay to pick up your phone.
We're not going to go into the gaslighting conversation. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Nikki. We're not going to talk about gaslighting.
So we're gonna validate your statement of your social media. There is analytics on your iPhone. So open your iPhone and go to settings. We're going to see how much time you have logged into your Uber app. Okay, Chris is going to guide you through because clearly I don't remember how to do it.
I'm going to give Chris my phone.
Chris is going to take George's phone and he's going to get him there. And you're going to tell us the numbers on those apps.
Fine. You don't believe me?
No, I do, but I want to know a number to it. I'm a man of real life and data married together.
Oh, so. Stop it. You're not a data man. That is bullshit. You know it. But yeah, I mean, even when my kids were younger, I think my kids are older now. So a lot of people's like, well, George doesn't have kids. I do have my 2 dogs that require a ton of time and attention. But when my kids were younger, I don't know how people did it back in the day. But for me, having a cell phone and being able to be connected as I was in my kids' soccer practice or my kids' game, that gives you so much freedom.
I'm going to take George's phone to make sure that he's not lying.
Why are you handing it to him? It was my phone. What's number 1?
Your number 1 used app is Outlook.
All right.
So the man's working. His second most used app. Are you ready? You're going to be shocked by this. I'm actually shocked by
I'm going to say what it is. LinkedIn.
Oh,
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, there it is.
LinkedIn.
Yep.
Okay. Can you guess your third?
No, the third has to be my messages.
Oh, wow. You know yourself. Okay. Messages. Can you guess your fourth?
It has to be Uber Eats or DoorDash.
No, I'm surprised by this one, actually.
What is it?
It's Bill.
Oh, yeah, because I'm logging on my payments. Well, to be fair, not that I spend all that money. It's also I'm authorizing other people.
You're approving.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised with DoorDash. DoorDash is after that.
Okay.
Followed by news. I'm surprised by this one. Ready?
Okay. Yes.
Followed by Uber Eats.
Yes.
Followed by Safari.
Okay.
And then has its own category.
Okay, great.
And then weather.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Power BI.
I'm really concerned. Oh, Power BI. There you go. That's another work one.
I didn't know you had Power BI on your phone.
Well, I think I go to the browser and that's why it's
selecting it logged the BI in
there.
Yeah. That was day. Yeah. Your weekly usage is still the same. A week you spend an average of 53 minutes on DoorDash. 42 minutes on Uber Eats.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't lying. No
Wow.
Instagram, right? No Instagram.
He's not lying. There is no Instagram on this phone.
And I don't have a
MySpace.
burner, unlike other people. I don't have a burner phone.
I do not have a burner phone.
Whatever.
I have a flip phone, but that's another story.
Yeah. No, but honestly, this gives me my dopamine hit that we all get from other stuff.
Dopamine.
Dopamine. Thank you. Dopamine.
Dopamine.
Yeah, but that's quality again, guys. Quality of life is find something. If you have a horrible job and you don't like what you do, you can work 6 hours a week. It's still going to feel like you don't have enough quality of life. So go get good at something, get paid to do it. You'll find the passion. You're going to be great.
Thank you, George. I think we're at the end of our episode. Is there anything else you want to let the team know?
I have a couple quotes that I guess I was supposed to repeat, which I already did. I already did one quote.
Here, let me ask you about the quote that you're about to say. Do you want to tell the story on this podcast, actually?
Sure. Do you have time? So I went to a conference, and I can't say the conference. I don't think I can.
Just say a conference.
A conference. And I was in the elevator. I went to grab lunch, and I came back to the conference, and I was in the elevator, and I saw this woman try to get on the elevator. I saw her nails were long, and I'm like, who's this woman that's trying to get to the elevator? Can't find her key. She's trying to navigate through her purse. And so I'm in the elevator too, so I'm going up, and I'm like, oh, what floor, miss? And so she tells me the floor. I put the floor. It was a higher floor than mine, which means she got a better room than I did. I don't know if that's true, but that's what people say. The higher the ground of the hotel, the better.
It was a penthouse.
Okay, so anyway, I helped this lady with clicking on the elevator floor, and then she goes up, and I get off. She goes up, whatever. Later at the convention, at the evening session, turns out that I see this same lady come out to the stage of one of these breakout sessions, and guess who it was?
Drum roll, Chris.
It was Jose Quintanilla.
Yay!
Anyway, she said a lot of amazing things. She talked about this Netflix special that she's going to roll out. She talked about a lot of because they asked her like, well, there's been Selena material out there already. What's so special about this new what's the word? It's not a film. It's a documentary.
Yes.
And she said, well, a lot of the images shown there were my own images that I took from my sister, from her own camcorder and her own everything. So I thought that was pretty cool. And so they asked her what she was doing and why she actually did that. And actually, they asked her, she's the CEO now of Quintanilla Productions, right? So they asked her why she didn't hire someone else or someone else was doing it. And I really love what she answered. She said, no one can do what I do because this is my legacy and the legacy of my family. I need to protect it, and that's why I do it. And so it was so cool to hear how she sees her job. And I think for a lot of us, we have to go back and think, why do I do this? Because I think there's going to be tough times like the ones we're in right now, where you have to make some really hard decisions where it may seem like you're making a marginal improvement in the business, but that same decision is affecting someone's life, because that's what's happening. We're making decisions that affect our team members' lives. And the relief for the business might look like it's marginal because we have so many restaurants and so many people, but it's multiplied. But you have to keep in mind why you do it. So I think for me I've been here for 20 years. This has been my life for 20 years, and this is probably my life's work. I'm not going to go and work at another Far West. I'm not going to have time to build another business like this. So for me, I'm doing it because no one else will do it the way that I think it should be done. So this is a very special place. And again, for everyone listening, I know the times are incredibly tough, and I know you guys are all hanging in there. I just want you guys to know that everything we're doing here is to protect everyone's job, to give you guys some stability. So hang in there, and as soon as things get better, I promise you will get your bone-in wings back.
Way to close the episode, George. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you guys in our next episode, which will actually be a very, very special episode.
Thanks for tapping into The Next Shift, Moving Up in the Restaurant Industry, hosted by George Luis Ortiz Garcia. If you're about that restaurant life or love a good underdog story, make sure to follow, share, and stay tuned. Until next time.